That's what I was trying to see what I think these look like road extensions.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's not a road.
Yeah,
And,
that's probably what it is. East Francis.
and Leota to go all the way through.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Take that all the way through to there. That's what it is. Yep. West Road. Okay. To Homestead.
Yep.
Homestead, I saw, what was that, long-term plan, they wanna make that into an interchange
Mm-hmm.
at some point. That would be nice, the west interchange would be very costly. Just came, just got ahead of it. So, when my map on the screen was red east of the east exit on Platte, so, you know, Charlie House, so I got off Max going up that way. Then have to fall back up to turn my mom there. Yeah. I mean, cause you would have thought they would have popped it up here for a while, and then some close that. What part of your share wasn't used?
Did you go running outside this morning? I tried. You did. No, I don't know how it is. Oh, I see. Yeah, it's, if I had some of those things you can climb ice walls with, I might go in, I'd walk in there, you know? I'd like that. You know, this imagery, it's like, unless it's an axe now. Or it's in the past. No, it's gotta have like some big, because they're not that big. They don't make it heavy. You're just, it's just like running on concrete. There comes a point where it's just like, it's just like, when you get good, you know, it's just more of this stuff. What did, Elaine's with his girlfriend? You know, I think that's a, junior style, they broke up for Christmas, so my presents had to be extremely serious. Which, his feelings were hurt the most. I don't know, I know Mindy's pretty happy about it. Did you not hear my question? Did you not? The only thing he's got going for him, now that the ground's frozen, exactly, a little harder to discipline. Yeah. He got really concerned about it.
He said he was. Last week that he said. Who knows? We have the cord.
Which I don't mind because I have to drive you back and forth.
Okey-doke, it's 5:30. Welcome to the December 26, 2023 North Platte Planning Commission meeting. Thanks to all of you for braving the weather and the holidays to get here. Roll call, please.
Davies.
Here.
Hume.
Here.
Matthews. Bain.
Here.
Van Velzen. Fudge.
Here.
Jett. Forbes. Here. And Worrell. Here. The quorum is present.
A current copy of the Open Meetings Act of the State of Nebraska is posted at the back of the council chambers on the wall. If you've got any questions about that, you can see there. Item number 2 on the agenda tonight, approval of minutes from the meeting held November 28, 2023. I trust you've all read them intently. Any questions, comments, corrections? None?
Second.
Motion by Bain, seconded by Davies to approve the minutes. Any discussion on that? No? And the minutes are approved. Item number 3 on the agenda tonight's presentation by the city of North Platte's 1 and 6 year road plan. Brent, come on down.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Brent Berkland, city engineer. What I have before you that I passed around, it's the Reader's Digest version of the 1 and 6 road plan, and it's specifically the Planning Commission edition. And I talked to Judy a little bit that we decided to mix things up a little bit as far as what we presented. Didn't want to present with you the entire 1 and 6 road hearing and then do it again January 4th, partly because some of the things you may or may not care about, and this is more of the planning focus. So what I wanted to do was highlight 3 things that are on this drawing. They should show up in red. There's one to the west, one to the north, and one to the east. And the purpose of bringing this to you is to some things that have been either they're getting closer to fruition, or there will be things either coming shortly or they're in the packet yet tonight. But an example is on West Phillip, on the west side. What I wanted to do is bring to your attention some ideas as far as when you are looking at plans going forward, protecting either corridors. That's one thing that we've talked about as staff, is protecting corridors and making sure that the roadway transportation system is cohesive. On the southwest side of town, we do have some areas like where Leota and Sunset and Dead End, where you're going west and then you have to make a 90-degree turn. And this would be an example. Phillip could do the same thing again. And what we were looking at is having Phillip continue west to where it goes into Homestead, and then it would tie into Homestead as kind of a continuous loop that way. And these are just forecast things. There's nothing set in stone because there's multiple property owners involved. But I just wanted to bring it to your attention as far as ideas for thinking through when we get plans on developments. You know, how does it impact the whole? And it's trying to balance property owners' rights versus development rights versus the city's best interests, the community as a whole. And as information on some of just food for thought on West Phillip as an example. In general, I'll just go through all the items, but as far as right-of-way widths, we have 50, 60, 66, 80, and 100, and then maybe some wider depending on different needs. But those are all based, a cul-de-sac would be 50 foot, a looped dead-end local street would be 60, 66 is our normal width for streets that go from A to B, and then 80 is for more of our collector or arterial streets. And West Phillip would probably be in that 100-foot range. The street is 54 feet wide, just the street itself, and you add sidewalk on both sides and or a walking trail. If you have a 10-foot walking trail, 5-foot sidewalk, you're already up to 70 feet. So that's just to give you an idea of some ideas as far as when we're looking at long-range planning, trying to balance out the community needs and coming to a win-win with the developer's wants. Up to the north, I have shown 19th Street. That area we have that was just annexed, and the property north of 19th Street has been purchased, and they're looking at plans, and there's some plans south of 19th Street. There's half of the right-of-way in some areas of 19th Street, but if we get 19th Street in, it would go all the way from the east side of Madison School all the way to Buffalo. That would be a contiguous east-west portion, and if you look, there's a lot of fractional streets that don't quite go all the way through, and so it's just trying to plan ahead and work with the developers, and you guys are a lot of times the front part that gets to see it. And then over on the east side, there's East Francis, East Leota, that would be connecting, and we presented this last year as well, just some different ideas. And depending on how the configuration and layout things, that would probably be, again, 80 or 100-foot right-of-way. That would be a arterial street that would get you from Newberry, from the one-ways to Newberry. And again, these are just examples. There's nothing official to any of this, but I just wanted to give you ideas and thoughts on some of the things when we're looking at the long range 1 and 6. There's the 1-year part of the plan, which is the things that we're going to do next year. And there's the 6-year part. And on the 1-year part, we had example, you guys saw all the asphalt streets that we had milled up. A lot of that is maintenance. It's not really a planning consideration. It's just regular routine maintenance, but they're big and they involve a lot of the community. Same with seal coat. The 6-year is more of the long-range plans that might impact development and things, the planning side of the house. So that was my Reader's Digest planning edition that I wanted to just present to you guys on some food for thought and things that are looking at maybe coming in the next few years anyway. And it's all development dependent. It could be sooner, it could be later.
Brent, 2 of these are streets that are right on our agenda tonight. I mean, one of them is,
19th.
yeah, that, and then I suspect we'll be talking a little bit more intently about Francis and Leota and the like as well. I mean, are these projects that are, I don't know, shovel-ready is the wrong term for them, but if these developers really get ahead of steam up, could these things happen quickly?
I would say so. It's really dependent on their time frame, but 19th Street involves a couple different property owners. That creates some of the awkward dance from the standpoint 19th Street, half the right-of-way would come from one side and half from the other. And so I think the 19th Street side, I believe, does already have the,
Yeah, when that original subdivision was done, Cochran subdivision that we did back in June, we, reserved half of the street on the property that we're gonna see on item number 5, I believe.
but the other half on the north side is something that we'd have to look at in the future. And then the property to the east, there's quite a bit of discussion of what that final layout could be, time frame, sequence, phasing, things like that. So as far as how soon it is, all gets into, I guess, the developer's sequence and timing and finances and part of what you guys are talking about tonight.
Questions for Brent?
I threw a whole bunch of information at you. Judy knows a lot of this already, so our job is to keep giving you that information, but I wanted to just give you the quick version of some things that we're looking at. And these general principles can apply to other projects as well when we're looking at making sure streets go through, connect the best that we can, and also the right-of-way widths that make sense.
Is there a right-of-way from the east side of Cochran replat to Sheridan? A street right-of-way in there for 19th Street?
I believe there's half, yes.
All the way to Sheridan? Okay. I know Cochran's is to the west end of that red line of 19th Street, but
So there's a little portion, I think, west of Cochran's that, I don't know if it is, from this,
just on the end.
yeah, I'm not sure about that part, but.
Because that runs right through that structure. There's a couple of structures right at the
Mhm.
end of that. And it'd be
Couple
right
little
in.
lots.
Yep. There's actually another property owner on the south side of that too.
Correct.
Any other questions for Brent? Good luck. Sounds
All right.
like you're gonna be playing.
Thank you.
Item number 4 on the agenda, file number SU 23-009, discuss and consider action on application by Roads Enterprises, Inc. for NP subdivision located at 2321 West 18th Street in an R3 dwelling district on property described as Lot 2 Cochran First Replat, North Platte, Lincoln County, Nebraska. Judy.
Okay, you should have all received a copy of the review comments, a preliminary and final plat. This subdivision will split one lot into 6 lots for a future housing development. Water is available to service the lots. Sewer will need to be extended to service the lots. The developer is currently working with Brent Berkland, city engineer, to design the extension of the sewer. City of North Platte Code of Ordinances, section 155.093D, the depth of lot shall be no more than 3 times the width of the lot at the building line. The subdivision is proposing lots that are 110 by 386, which exceeds the regulation. So in order to allow the subdivision, planning commission will need to approve a variance to the depth of lots. Planning staff has no objections to approval of the North Platte, NP subdivision if planning commission approves the variance to the lot depth. The proposed subdivision meets the zoning and subdivision regulations with the approved variance.
So, we're gonna run into this a couple times tonight, travel issues, getting here. The developer is not in the audience tonight, but we do have his phone number if anybody has questions about this, so, any questions about this whatsoever?
I don't have any questions. I don't think the extra area on the ends is gonna hurt anything with the street on 18th and 19th proposed, so. I think it's a good way, especially if they're gonna be 7-unit per structure.
Mm-hmm.
And I did note 19th Street was in the drawing, so.
That little bit extra space on each end where there's 18th and 19th, it's a good thing rather than that.
Any other discussion? Not, there's a proposed motion there.
I move to approve file SU 23-009, preliminary and final approval of the 10-B subdivision and approval of a variance to section 155.093, depth of lot.
Second.
Motion by Bain, seconded by Davies to approve file number SU 23-009. Any other discussion? If not. And the motion is approved. Okey-doke, item number 5. File number CU 23-001, discuss and consider action on an application by Tri-State Broadcasting Association, Inc. for a conditional use permit to allow extension of an existing radio communication tower from 70 feet to 110 feet located at 201 South Bailey in a B2 Highway Commercial District on property described as Lot 1 KJLT Replat, North Platte, Nebraska. Judy.
Okay, and again, you should have all received a copy of the review comments. Attached to that is a narrative from the applicant, also a location map, and then the design for the actual tower. As stated on Form B, the applicant is requesting to extend the height of the studio tower from 70 to 110 feet. As technology continues to advance, so does the need for KJLT's ability to deliver audio from the site. Increased bandwidth is needed through a new link for better
read these once. All the rest of the agenda items on tonight are public hearings, so the following statement will ring true throughout the rest of the meeting. Planning Commission values your input, wants to hear from you. During public hearings, anyone wishing to speak must first be recognized by the chair. Once recognized, please approach the podium, state your name and address. Please keep your comments as brief as possible. Repetitive and excessively long testimony may be ended at the direction of the chair. And with that, this public hearing is open. Would anybody like to speak on this item? Going once. Going twice.
I do have a question for the gentleman. This increased height, it allows you to have better transmission. And that better transmission will not interfere with other
No,
transmissions?
Just
no, it should
real
not.
quick,
Oh,
name and
I'm sorry.
address.
Gary Hofer, you want my home address?
Please.
4243 Sweetwood Drive here in North Platte.
Okay. So this increased height is to improve your transmission abilities, correct?
Yes, one of the things we run into is there are obstructions between our studio tower and our transmission towers for radio.
So that won't interfere with anybody
No,
else's
no, it
transmissions?
shouldn't anyway.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to talk on this one? Again, going once, going twice.
Make the motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Bain, seconded by Davies to close this public hearing. Any discussion on that? And the public hearing is now closed. We'll talk about this up here now. Any other discussion on this one? The only question I had on all this, and Judy answered it for me, and I just, to ask you again, this is, the setback is pretty close on the one side, correct?
Yes, and it's the side that, abuts the alley. I did a quick measure on the GIS system. It needs to be at 55 feet setback. I got it to like 54 and a half. So I'm hoping if I go out there and actually measure it with a tape measure, that it's gonna meet that 55 feet. And it is up against the alley, which does give additional room. The rest of the setbacks are all exceed the required setback.
Any other questions, comments? Not, somebody want to take a stab at this one?
I move we find, sorry, maybe I won't. I move that we find the request for a conditional use permit to allow extension of an existing radio communication tower from 70 feet to 110 feet located at 201 South Bailey Avenue. Meets the minimum standards stated by the North Platte Code of Ordinances, section 156.322, and approve and grant the conditional use permit requested with condition that all elements of this application are complied with, based on the following factual findings. Can I read all that?
Yes.
1, the use shall conform to all applicable ordinances, laws, and regulations of any governmental jurisdiction. 2, the use shall use adequate water, sewer, and drainage facilities. 3, ingress and egress shall be so designated as to minimize traffic congestion in the public streets. 4, the use shall, in all other respects, conform to the applicable regulations of the district in which it is located. 5, the use shall be in harmony with the character of the area and the municipalities of the land, period.
Period. Motion by Whirl, seconded by Forbes to approve conditional use permit. Any other discussion on the matter? Not, Michelle? And the motion is successful. Good luck. Item number 6, discuss and consider action to annex parcel ID number 00536450, 00536350, and 005358.10, described as part of the east half west quarter and part of the west half west quarter, Section 2, Township 13 North, Range 30 West of the 6th Prime Meridian, Lincoln County, Nebraska, and part of Lot 3 and Lot 4, north of Suburban Irrigation Ditch, and part of accretions of Lot 3 and Lot 4, Section 11, Township 13 North, Range 30 West of the 6th Prime Meridian, Lincoln County, Nebraska, into the corporate limits of the city of North Platte, consisting of approximately 209 acres. Judy?
Okay, you should have all received a copy of the review comments. Attached to that is a location map showing the proposed annexation. And the proposed annexation was requested by the current property owner, so also attached you'll see a letter of that request. Planning staff recommends the proposed annexation. The property is adjacent and abutting to the current corporate limits of the city of North Platte. Actually, it is completely surrounded by the corporate limits of the city of North Platte. So if you have any questions, I would be happy to answer.
Okey-doke, this is also a public hearing, same rules apply, and with that, the public hearing is open if anybody'd like to speak on this matter. Hi, Gary.
Hi. I'll be brief. Gary Pearson, President, North Platte Area Chamber and Development Corporation. The Chamber is always strongly supportive of anything that brings new development into the community. This development is ripe for development, as with all the projects we have coming forward. Sets as basically as a donut hole inside the corporate city limits. As Judy mentioned, surrounded by all areas. I can tell you as someone who spent 16 years as a city manager in a former life, old annexation laws that prevailed for years and years and years in the state of Nebraska would have mandated that to become a part of the community, because you can't have properties surrounding it without being incorporated into the community. You have a situation here, and I'll let this speak for the next public hearing as well, where you have landowners voluntarily wanting to become part of the exciting things going on in North Platte, becoming part of the city. Both the Brewer family and the Blowers that have petitioned to have that done, joining the development team that's been put together on the former Fritz land property. This absolutely is a game changer for North Platte's future. Some of the street systems that will add connectivity, open up new neighborhood commercial opportunities, maybe some light industrial, as well as much needed residential. So we see it as an extremely positive move. And anytime somebody wants to join the North Platte team and become a part of what we're doing, we ought to embrace that, and we ought to compliment them and thank them for what they're doing. So let my comments speak for itself, and then the last two agenda items will kind of add some to that.
Okay, any questions for Gary? Thank you, sir. Anybody else want to talk on this one? Going once. Going twice. They didn't even get it out. Motion by Bain, seconded by Worrell to close the public hearing. Michelle, please. And the public hearing is closed. We'll talk about this one up here now. Any questions about this? Seems fairly straightforward. I think we just talked about this here. Maybe a meeting ago,
Yeah.
or two ago. It'd sure be nice to get this in, and lo and behold, here it is.
I move to make a recommendation to annex parcels ID number 0053645.00, 0053635.00, and 0053585.10, described as part of the east 1/2 west 1/4 and part of the west 1/2 west 1/4, section 2, township 13N, range 30 west of the 6 p.m. Lincoln County, Nebraska, and part of the Lot 3 and Lot 4 north of Suburban Irrigation Ditch, and part of the accretions of Lot 3 and Lot 4, Section 11, Township 13N, Range 30 west of the 6th p.m., Lincoln County, Nebraska, into the corporate limits of the city of North Platte consisting of approximately 209 acres.
Motion by Davies, seconded by Bain to recommend approval of the annexation. Any more discussion? Michelle, please. And this body will recommend annexation. I suspect this will go on the next council agenda.
All of these items, I'm sorry, I failed to mention that, all of these items will be on the next city council agenda, which is January 2nd.
Okay. Item number 7, discuss and consider action to annex parcel ID number 0055485.00 and 0053596.00 described as North Platte Farm subdivision, part of the Tract A, south half of Lot 3, north half of Section 10, Township 13 North, Range 30, west of the 6th prime meridian, Lincoln County, Nebraska, and a tract of land in part of the southeast quarter of Section 4, Township 13 North, Range 30, west of the 6th prime meridian, Lincoln County, Nebraska, into the corporate limits of the city of North Platte, consisting of approximately 41.86 acres. Judy?
Okay, and again, you should all see a copy of the review comments. Attached to that is the area that's proposed for annexation. And, again, the proposed annexation was requested by the property owner, so you do have that letter that is also attached for your review. Planning staff recommends the proposed annexation. The property is adjacent and abutting the current corporate limits of the city of North Platte. Essentially, again, it is surrounded by the corporate limits of the city of North Platte. I'll be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Okay, again, this is a public hearing. Same rules apply. If anybody'd like to speak on this one, you're welcome to come forward at this time. Y'all are a talkative bunch tonight. Going once.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Bain, seconded by Davies to close the public hearing. Michelle? And the public hearing is closed. We'll talk about this one up here now. Any questions for Judy?
Is this the last piece of the development?
No, there's still, a piece to the south, if you look on this, south and west of that proposed annexation, there's a little piece that will still be out of there. The same thing with the other one too, there's still a little piece that we're working on.
Any other questions? Somebody wanna read this one?
I move to make a recommendation to annex parcels ID number 0055485.00 and 0053596.00 described as North Platte Farm subdivision, part of Tract A, south one half of Lot 3 and north one half of Section 10, Township 13N, Range 30, west of the 6 PM, Lincoln County, Nebraska, and a tract of land in part of the southeast quarter of Section 4, Township 13N, Range 30, west of the 6 PM, Lincoln County, Nebraska, into the corporate limits of the city of North Platte consisting of approximately 41.86 acres.
Second.
Motion by Davies, seconded by Bain to recommend annexation. Any more discussion on the matter? Not? And this group recommends annexation. This will also go to the next council agenda. Okey-doke, onward. Item number 8 is another public hearing, discuss and consider action on a resolution regarding the city of North Platte, Nebraska Southeastern Analysis Area Update Blight and Substandard Studies prepared by Marvin Planning Consultants, Inc., and make a recommendation regarding its conformity with the City of North Platte Comprehensive Plan 2011, whether the real estate described should be declared blighted and substandard, and for the development of the City of North Platte pursuant to the Nebraska Community Development Law. The study includes an estimated 743.55 acres located generally from South Tabor Avenue east to Newberry Access Road and from East E Street to South Platte River. Judy?
Okay, and again, you should have all received a copy of the review comments. Attached to that is a resolution that you will either be approving or denying this evening, and then a copy of the blight and substandard study. The city planning commission's responsibility in the blight and substandard determination study process is to take public comment on whether the real estate described should be declared blighted and substandard as pursuant to Nebraska Community Development Law, and if the study is in conformance with the city of North Platte comprehensive plan. The following statements should be considered and confirmed. Property as presented in the study meets the requirements to be declared substandard. The property as presented in the study meets the requirements to be declared blighted. The factors necessary to declare the property blighted and substandard are sufficiently distributed to impact development across the entire site. The development of this property to its full potential is in the best interest of the city of North Platte and the entire region, and there are projects ready to develop in this area if they can meet the financial goals. Nebraska State Statute 18-21033 regulates the percentage of city limits that may be declared blighted and substandard pursuant to Nebraska Community Development Law, and states a city of the first class shall not designate more than 35% of the city as blighted. Currently, the city limits of the city of North Platte contains 11,867.27 acres, with 2,833.13 designated blighted and substandard, or 23.87%. The proposed study will designate an additional 743.55 acres as blighted and substandard within the city limits, which would increase the city's percentage at 30.14 designated as blighted and substandard. These calculations do not include the new annexations that were just proposed in the other two items. The city of North Platte, Nebraska's Southeastern Analysis Area Update and Substandard Study is attached for your review. The city of North Platte, Nebraska's Comprehensive Plan, Chapter 4, sets several goals, objectives, and action steps for housing in the community. Listed are objectives to creating sufficient housing stock to provide safe choices and options for the community. Mixed use. The goal is to redevelop underutilized land with a mix of land uses that encourage new housing options. Workforce housing. Create alternative housing options such as senior or low to moderate income households. Housing alternatives to provide incentives such as density bonuses for redevelopment of areas with substandard housing stock into affordable, safe housing, including housing programs that encourage construction of multifamily residential units. And keeping pace, prepare for future growth by extending city infrastructure to areas targeted for development. Planning staff recommends approval of the study and passage of the attached resolution. The study is in conformance with the North Platte Comprehensive Plan 2011 and meets the requirements to be declared substandard and blighted. By declaring this area as blighted and substandard, the city will remain below the 35% threshold, leaving acres available for future blight and substandard declarations. Allowing development of this property to its full potential is in the best interest of the city and the entire region. Again, the consultant is out of town and was unable to attend in person, but I do have him on standby if we have any questions that he would need to answer.
Before we open the public hearing, I do want to point out that this is an update. This was done once before. What was the result of that study the first time?
I think it was done in 1997, if I remember correctly. It was declared blighted and substandard. The current attorney, not Bill, but the current TIF attorney just felt that they would like to revisit that to make sure. This did expand it a little bit, but other than that it's pretty close to the same.
You said 19-something?
1997, I believe.
So 30, 25 years ago, it was met the requirements?
Yes. And nothing has really changed.
Exactly, that's what I was gonna say. It hasn't gotten any better, that's for sure.
Expanded it north?
Yeah, north just a little bit. The original study did not have the trailer court in there, I believe.
What is density bonus? What are those?
It's not something that we use. It is something that some communities have enlisted that, they get certain, I don't know, if they build a whole bunch, more dense developments, then maybe they get a decrease in setbacks or, things that are built into, zoning requirements, which just kind of give people a little bit of an incentive. We don't currently use that. Something we should maybe look at.
Okay, thank you.
So just again, point of procedure, much of this area has already been declared blight substandard, which is why the percentage isn't changing a whole bunch.
Correct.
Okay, all right, just want to make sure everybody's on the same page before we dove into the public hearing, which I will now call open. Same rules apply. Anybody want to come talk on this one? Somebody's got to go first.
Yeah. Gary Pearson, President, North Platte Area Chamber Development, 502 South Dewey. I think one of the hesitations of why the attorney decided that it should go through a study again was it was not annexed, though it was blighted. And so the state of Nebraska laws say it has to be inside the incorporated limits in order to go through a redevelopment process. So just to make sure, you know, that wasn't brought into question later on, I think that was probably one of the prevailing reasons, as well as to update everything. And but I can tell you, in working with these developers since day one, who have been working feverishly hard to try to help the pending housing situation that we not only currently have, but we're going to have to a greater extent once the new developments take place and the payrolls start to emerge and new people want to come and move to North Platte. One of the things that was attractive about this property was there was a willing landowner to work with them, but also the fact that it was already blighted. So knowing the challenges of doing housing development and the fact that this property has been basically a donut hole inside the city limits of North Platte for decades, tells you how tough it is to develop and what the excessive costs are. And the only way that you can move the needle on that, and it's still a risk the developer has to take, but these developers are willing to take, is if this gets designated to move forward, and then a redevelopment plan comes, which has to stand on its own merits, and you'll consider it at that point. But every housing developer we've visited with in the last 7 or 8 years will not touch new housing development because of the excessive costs, which have continued to dramatically rise without a redevelopment plan. That plan, in turn, will pay itself back multiple times over. With the new people coming to town, the new payrolls are going to be generated here, new investments, the houses not only the houses they buy or rent, but also the vehicles and their spending capital that gets spent in the community. So community wins on this deal, and it could sit there for the next 50 years if the development doesn't happen, and it'll still have the very same valuation it always has. So this is the way that we can make a difference, and we can really make a difference for North Platte's future. So I'd highly encourage you to consider it. Thank you.
Thanks, Gary. Anybody else want to talk on this one? Going once. Going twice.
Make a motion to close public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Bain, seconded by McEwen to close the public hearing. Kurt, I think it was you, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
It was me.
Michelle, please. And the public hearing is closed. Judy, specifically, what parts are new as we look at this?
Okay, so we're not in the original, you're gonna go up to, the trailer court, and then that was added. There was a piece, that was taken out because of the new construction of apartments on, I believe it was Tabor. Other than that, I believe that was the only things that were added and deleted.
But basically, from Phillip to the river has already been declared blighted substandard. Okay. That's what we want to do.
But it's considered in here too, 743 acres.
Yep, that includes the whole red dotted line on page 4 of the document.
But part of that's already been declared.
Yes, so you have, it was in that 19
in the study, but it didn't go through planning and passed on it?
Yes, it did. It was approved. And that 1997 study was approved and adopted. There's a little bit of a discrepancy between what planners think is okay to declare blighted and substandard and what maybe attorneys think. Planners think it's okay to declare areas outside the city blighted and substandard as long as it's part of an overall plan. Attorneys sometimes cite on the air of caution and like to have everything inside city limits before it's declared. So that's just what we're doing here. Yeah, just trying to,
It does seem like a big chunk of land.
yeah. But the majority of it was already declared blighted and substandard in '97.
Let's take this up to that 30% threshold area.
Yes. The next agenda item though will take us back in.
That's where I have a problem. Not like I didn't look at that.
So, Bill, would you consider this an I's dotted, T's crossed kind of thing?
Yeah, Mr. Bacon brought me in on this a little bit too, and so we just felt that because of the way that the community development laws were written back in '97, it wasn't explicitly clear to us that the designation would hold up as well as if we went through the process again. Because that part of the land was outside of the city limits, so that was the concern.
So you declare it blighted substandard, but it's not in city limits, so then you bring it in city limits, we just wanna make sure everything's still copacetic. Okay. Jay? Any other discussion on this one? I believe there's a proposed motion there.
I move to approve the resolution and recommended adoption of the City of North Platte, Nebraska Southeastern Analysis Area Update Blight and Substandard Study prepared by Marvin Planning Consultants Incorporated and approval of related actions.
Second.
Motion by Davies, seconded by McEwen to approve. Any other discussion? Not, Michelle, please. And the update is approved by this body. City council will have its say here next week.
Tuesday the 2nd.
Tuesday the 2nd.
Next week, next year, yes.
Holy buckets. All right, item number 9 on the agenda, discuss and consider action on a resolution regarding the extremely blighted determination study for North Platte, Nebraska as prepared by Information Art and make a recommendation whether the real estate described should be extremely blighted for development of the city of North Platte pursuant to Nebraska Community Development Law. The study includes an estimated 743.55 acres located generally from South Tabor Avenue east to Newberry Access Road, from East E Street south to the South Platte River. Judy.
Okay, and you should have all received a copy of the review comments and a resolution, and then attached to that is the study that we were provided by Information Art. This is a new one for us. This is extremely blighted, which is similar to blight and substandard, but does take a little bit of a different spin. The city planning commission's responsibility in the extremely blighted determination study is to take public comment on whether the real estate described should be declared extremely blighted as pursuant to Nebraska Community Development Law, and if the study is in conformance with legislative requirements. The following statements should be considered and confirmed. The property as presented in the study has been declared substandard. The property as presented in the study has been declared blighted. The property is a substandard and blighted area in which the average rate of unemployment in the area during the period covered by the most recent federal decennial census is at least 200% of the average rate of unemployment in the state during the same period. The property is a substandard and blighted area in which the average poverty rate in the area exceeds 20% for the total federal census tract or tracts or federal census block group or block groups in the area. The development of the property to its full potential is in the best interest of the city of North Platte and the entire region, and that there are projects ready to develop in the area if they can meet the goals of the developers. Nebraska state statute regulates the percentage of city limits that can be declared blighted and substandard. Community Development Law states city of the first class shall not designate more than 35% of the city as blighted. Currently, the city limits of the city of North Platte contain 11,867.37 acres with 3,576.68 acres designated as blighted and substandard, or 30.14%. This is assuming city council passes the previous agenda item. The proposed study will designate 743.55 acres of blight and substandard property to extreme blight. Once designated as extreme blight, the percentage of the blight and substandard property within the city limits will decrease to 23.87%. There are some reasons that a developer may ask for extreme blight designation. That is, one, to allow for state income tax credit for qualified homebuyers in the area. Two, special funding preferences to affordable housing developers in the area. And three, a maximum of 20 years for the use of TIF for qualified redevelopment projects. Planning staff recommends approval of the study and passage of the attached resolution. The study is in conformance with legislative requirements under Nebraska Community Development Law. Extremely blighted designation provides benefits not only to the developer, but also qualified home buyers in the area. By declaring this area as extreme blight, the city remains below the 35% designated blighted and substandard area threshold, leaving acres available for future blight and substandard declarations. The project is proposing workforce and affordable housing that will be a benefit to the city of North Platte and the entire region. Again, the consultant that prepared this study is not available, but he will be available on the phone if we need to ask him questions. Otherwise, I'll try and answer what I can.
Okey doke. I think the commission is aware that I had Judy send you all the statute, so you had a chance to read it. This is the first time we've seen it. We're not reinventing the wheel here. We're, I think Omaha, Lincoln, and I read Grand Island have used this. I think Grand Island's actually getting ready to do their second piece. So, with that, any questions procedurally before we get going here tonight? Any questions about what extreme blight is? Bill has read up on it. I did check with him before we started. If you've got any questions about that, feel free to ask him.
I guess I'm just, like, it says state income tax credit for qualified home buyers in the area, and like, what is the what is the definition for a qualified home buyer that works for?
I hesitate to comment too much on that, because that's all laid out in the state's tax laws. And so I don't like to get into reading those unless I absolutely have to. And if you'd like me to review them, I certainly would, but I had to travel quite a bit today, so I might just fall asleep.
Yeah, we don't want it,
But I guess it's all laid out in the state tax laws, what the qualified home buyer is, so that's all defined under chapter 77 of the state's code. And you know, it's a matter of, I think there are income thresholds and thresholds for property values, and so it all ties back into the extreme blight definition.
Sure, I was just wondering, like, kind of who's gonna benefit from that, like,
It would be nice to
I don't know who wants
know.
to dig into tax.
It would be nice to know if there would be benefits for that, to know how many single-family homes were gonna go in this
Right.
area,
Right,
and that we're gonna qualify for, you know, low-income people or whatever, because the cost of property is getting high, so affordable housing is almost, you know,
well,
It'd
it's
be
appealing
nice
that
to know
these
that
people
there's-
have the ownership in their neighborhood,
right.
like that too.
It'd be nice to know how much of a percentage of this would be single-family homes and not just a bunch of apartment buildings that they're gonna have to rent. And that would be a benefit to somebody along the way.
And that will come out in the redevelopment plan. If this would get approved, then they would come back with that redevelopment plan. I can't tell you the exact number, but I do know there is going to be a mix of single-family apartment, those types of things. It will definitely be mixed.
Yeah, and I've seen a preliminary as well, and there's quite a few single-family units in there.
So the question is affordable, and what is affordable? I guess that's, right now, with interest rates,
And how you
that's,
get it built is important.
yeah, and that really changes the dynamics because of interest rates alone and the payment, what's the point?
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, and so let's open the public hearing, because maybe Gary can shed some light on this, I know he's.
Hey, David, do you want me to, I'm looking at the tax statute right now.
Oh, boy, give us a second.
Open up the can of worms.
Just real quick, so I think in answer to your question, Emily, the federal, so basically, there's a differentiation here for the federal adjusted gross income of greater than 29,000. You basically have a smaller credit that's allowed, but if you're under that adjusted gross income of 29,000 a year, then you have a larger credit that you can qualify for. So that's kind of a cutoff mark, but even above that, you can qualify for some of this credit.
Okay, now, we'll open the public hearing. Greg, come on up. Name and address, sir.
Greg Wilkie, 2220 West Leota. I've done quite a little research on this, and I guess I can answer a few questions for you from my perspective. Not as good as the attorneys in the room, but first of all, I guess after spending quite a little time on this, we still have, the city still has all the options available to them, whether you do this or not. You actually have more if you do this. And just because it qualifies for extreme blight, every project's gonna have to go through the process and get approved for extreme blight. And so if you don't like something about the project, it doesn't mean that just because of extreme blight, it goes ultimately to that. It just gives you the ability to go to that limit. And having had a history of financing projects, I'm confident that this type of housing will not happen without blighted and without extreme blighted if you're going to have single family. The need for North Platte is workforce housing, and that's dictated by the state. The maximum sale price of that house today, I believe, is $320,000 would be the maximum. And so you're not looking at a neighborhood that's trying to build $400,000 or $500,000 houses because it won't work. So to me, the extreme blight is, I think there's more sections of North Platte that will qualify for that. And I would challenge you to think about that and why not versus why, because I don't think it changes your ability to say yes or no on each project going forward. And so to me, it's more like, why would we do this? It's like, why wouldn't we do this? And then you still have all the authority going forward on each project. If you don't like it, and the CRA doesn't like it, and the council don't like it, we don't do it. But the ratio is of great benefit to North Platte. Getting these acres off that calculation gives us options for the next project if we decide to do something. So these acres all come off of that percentage calculation. That's a big thing for North Platte. And if you look at where development has happened, development is happening probably where extreme blight can't be passed, but this would be areas where we haven't been seeing development. And so I think it would really help some of the neighborhoods that are aging for some reinvestment and maybe a mix of new construction in different parts of town. So I guess from my standpoint, I didn't think we would qualify as a tool, and I've challenged Judy and to go back and to make sure we qualify. We don't qualify by census tract, but that's not what this is. It's based on this specific tract that we're looking at here, and with the data they have, it does qualify. And I just have you challenge you to think about if there are other areas that would also qualify for extreme blight, that you should pass that as well. So.
Questions for Greg?
Right.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else like to come up and testify on this one?
Good evening, I'm Joe Staroska. I live at 1010 South Bear. I'm also a member of the Cow Council Land Development Team that is behind roughly the 204 squares that was the old Fritz Farm, if you folks know what I'm talking about there. I did look when Bill was talking about the estate, or I'm sorry, the tax code. There's actually 97 pages that I'd like him to read. I'm joking. But in all seriousness, actually, folks, currently we're looking at 354 single-family homes to develop on this, and that's 354 workforce affordable single-family homes. These homes are to be designed in such a way they'll be quick, and in that quickness, lower in cost. And in that lower in cost, to be held to this figure, I think is a little, our goal would be around $230,000 a home. You can't even think about building a home like that anywhere else by a local land developer in North Platte. That nobody wants to build a home like that because there's not a lot of money in it. This group, from its inception, was focused on affordable workforce housing because that's what's coming. That's what that plant that is out there coming out of the ground, sustainable beef, is going to bring 800 and some families to this community, and they're going to have a place to live if we can help with this. There's just, they're coming, and that's our hope in doing this. There is also 277 multifamily units in this. Some of that is row housing, over almost half to a third of it is. Row housing is very small individual housing. Think of it as almost a miniature house. It's what a lot of indications are that that's what a lot of younger people are looking for. They don't really want a yard to take care of anymore. They want a house much smaller than that. In order to do this, the needed dollars for it is why we're asking, for this consideration. So I just wanted to give you some rough outlines of numbers that you guys asked for. So was there anything else I can give you that?
How many houses was it?
354 single-family housing units. We were actually involved in some of the concepts of this, and along Phillips Street, which will be a very small commercial area where the entrance of this is, we actually reduced that so that it's literally homes that back up to the back of Phillips Street on the south side. Because you could probably put, more commercial there is there now. That's not what that's not the goal. The goal is a home for somebody to live in and have it be an affordable home for workforce housing. And with the different value-added state tax things where they can get additional money for first-time home buyers and things like that, and the extension out to 20 years is what makes this project more feasible and possible. So, any other? Thank you for your time.
So I think, anybody else like to testify on this one? Going once. Going twice.
Second.
Motion by Bain, seconded by Davies. Almost tried to run your names together, I apologize. To close the public hearing, Michelle, please. Public hearing is now closed. Questions? Gary, can I ask you a question real fast, please?
You bet.
How many new units do we need in this town in the next 10 years?
Well, the housing study's underway, and there's some preliminary data there. But I'd say conservatively about 1,000 housing units of subtype, and that doesn't count everything that is emerging right now, which we also have about 300 more units coming on. Most of those just multifamily. We're really lagging behind the single-family development, and everybody's frustrated about that. So this really does move the needle, and these guys are really innovative on what they're doing. Really excited for you to see their whole master plan, and it's kind of answering the dreams of the city as well, having corridor roads being able to connect into Newberry. I could also show you multiple statistics that go clear back to 1980 about how far North Platte's fallen behind our peer communities when it comes to doing redevelopment projects and TIF projects. This is an opportunity for you to have North Platte be a leader in this. This law only became effective this summer, so Omaha and Lincoln jumped all over it immediately, and Grand Island followed closely behind. Will be actually one of the first-class communities to actually think this innovative and get it out there, and it's going to attract more development to North Platte, guaranteed. It just, it really does send a very extremely positive message to developers out there.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Any other discussion? I've heard 3 or 4 different numbers rail park coming and the beef plant coming and all the ancillary stuff that's gonna come around that, it just, and we're a year behind, really, we should have started a year ago.
10 or 15.
Trying to be lenient there, sorry about that. Any other questions, comments, discussion?
I move to approve the resolution and recommend adoption of the extremely blighted determination study for North Platte, Nebraska as prepared by Informational Art and approval of related actions.
Second.
Motion by Bain, seconded by Davies to approve. Any other discussion? Appreciate everybody's hard work on this. Thank you.
This will all be on the council agenda on
I'll
January.
call the vote.
Oh,
Michelle?
sorry.
I think we're making one little assumption there.
Again, this will
Look at
all be
that.
on the council agenda on January 2nd.
Good luck. Appreciate you folks. Old business, any old business?
I don't have anything.
Anybody have any new business?